logo that represents an institution or an establishment. Yeah.
Okay. And Abdul Samed. Abdul Samed. Just come at.
Sir, please, in simple words, it can be an identification for a company's goods. So maybe if a company is providing us with MTN, so the MTN logo we see, which is the MTN, is called the trademark because it's showing us what MTN is actually doing.
Wow, that's great. What about Innocent? Cool. Innocent.
Yes, sir. In other words, it's a unique identity for an establishment.
Okay, thank you. Charity.
Hello, sir.
Sir.
Yeah. Charity.
It's a word legally registered for.
It's a unique identity.
A company.
Okay. But your children are making noise.
Sorry, sir.
Why? How many kids do you have? Charity.
Sir.
How many kids do you have?
One is beside me here. There are two.
Okay, that's great.
Charity, give them food. Another
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Innocent, you've already spoken, right? Okay.
Hello, sir. This is Abdul.
Yes, okay. You want to talk again?
Yes, sir. Commonly speaking, let's say in January.
I'm listening to you, Abdul. Okay, so talk about trademark. In short, it's a brand name. So trademark is a brand name, and it may include any word, any name, any symbol, device, or any combination, which may be used or intended to be used in commerce to identify and distinguish one's goods or products from those manufactured by others to indicate the source of the goods. As some of you said, a trademark may be the symbol of some mobile telecommunication like MTN, Vodafone, and other stuff. So without a trademark, we cannot distinguish between one's product and another person's product. We need that distinctiveness from a product of person A or product A from
Let me
product
finish
B.
learning and then I'll give mine to you. Bring that is full.
Why should trademark laws be enforced in a country?
Then you come along with his phone, okay? If I finish, I'll prepare oats for you.
Trademark is to protect. Trademark is to protect the public from confusion regarding the sources of goods or services, and to protect business from the diversion of trade through the misrepresentation or appropriation of another goodwill. So in the case of trademark, it helps the public. For instance, you cannot go and buy Tigo or Airtel Tigo and say that you thought it was MTN SIM. It's the same way you cannot go and buy what product do we have again? Like cornflakes. We have KLG or KLG. No, let me use another brand. Let's say we have Coca-Cola. We have different types of Coke, but we have one branded by Coca-Cola, and we have others which are branded by other companies, and they are all not the same. Currently, we even have the local produce Coca-Cola, which normally we get for children for school, even though it has a form of Coca-Cola taste, little or different, but that you cannot replace that Coca-Cola to the Coca-Cola that you know, the regular Coca-Cola. It's the same way we have. I want a specific product.
Like toothpaste.
Yes. So we have toothpaste. We have Pepsodent. We have Maxam. Then we have other ones. Yes, that's great. You cannot actually go and buy one and claim that even within the Pepsodent, we have different family of Pepsodent products. So we have the charcoal type, we have the triple action, we have the normal Pepsodent, then we have so they have different flavors and they all have unique packaging. You see that there are differences in the packaging. There are differences in even the size. So that's what we call. So we use that to differentiate someone's goodwill. And a goodwill is something that one lives by it until the person's life is ended and there is no more production. For instance, in our Ghana Constitution law, one can own a goodwill, not necessarily your property or intellectual property, but you can go into a goodwill agreement on to have right over certain property. So for instance, let's say you have a piece of land. I don't have a land, but I have money to build on your land. So maybe I come and meet you, we negotiate, and we come into agreement terms. Then you give the land to me as a goodwill property. Now I will build and I'll build 8 stores on the building. So I may pay you some amount of money, not that I'm buying the land, I'm paying you some amount of money, as well as I may own some of the properties in the building. Then after a certain number of years, let's say 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, you should be able to recoup or to get all the money that you've invested in building that project through rental. And in that case, the property or the building becomes mine in the future. So that's a goodwill form of scenario. And in US, they use the Lanham Act, which is a federal act which protects or governs the trademark laws. In Ghana, actually, you see our constitution is mimic. We mimic other countries' constitutions. Sometimes they draft, they compare and contrast and draft our own. Now, we also have part of our laws that also talk about trademark. And in our constitution, it said that a trademark means any sign or combination of signs. So capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one undertaking from the goods or services of other undertakings, including words such as personal names, letters, numerals, or figurative elements. So for instance, our constitution also gives us what a trademark or the definition of a trademark is. If, for instance, somebody should in our jurisdictions, that's within the laws that protect Ghana, the person in the case that, okay, for me, I think that I have actually not erred or have erred based upon ABCD, but we have given you the terms, which is things that would constitute a trademark, which is a personal name, the letters. So for instance, PEP students, they even have a way that they write the PEP student. They even have the way they write it. Some of them have certain kind of drawings on it, certain kind of, that's the figurative element. So they have some form of images. I used to remember Close-Up some years back, they always have a male and a female into some love heart thing beside the box, telling you that the product is for lovers, is for people or couples. The same way we have PEP students also having their own, and currently they've even rebranded the PEP students we know years back, and their symbol is different from what we have now. The term service mark. So when okay. Sorry, I'm coming. So we would try to explain the protection of a trademark, but this side is for the US environment. Not necessarily talk about this much, but I would use our constitution to actually explain what is meant. So what I'll do quickly is that service mark under Layman Act include any word. I want to explain something to you. Any word, name, symbol, or device, or any contribution thereof used by a person, which a person has a bona fide intention to use the comments to identify and distinguish the uses of one person, including a unique service from the services of others, and to indicate the source of the services, even if the source is unknown. A service mark is a word, logo, phrase, or device used to indicate the source, quality, and ownership of a service. The term service will not apply to services that are solely for benefits of the performance, but rather the services must be rendered to others. So in short, we are talking about service which applies to solely the benefit. So the benefit that you derive from the services of a person. So for instance, PEP student is serving us, and the services that they do is that at the end of the day, they serve us with their product. Now, in our constitution, we have what is there? So a collective mark is a visible sign, which is just like the service mark. So in our constitution, we call it a collective mark. In the US, it's called service mark. So a collective mark is a symbol capable of distinguishing the origin or any other common characteristics, including the quality of the goods, services of different enterprise, which use the sign under the control of a registered owner from the goods or services of other enterprises. So just like MTN has a different way of distinguishing their products, even their data bundles and the rest. the same way Vodafone also have a different logo, different symbols to distinguish their product from other users. Now, when we talk about registering a trademark, a person would have exclusive right to use a trademark of the product. So, for instance, if you want to register a trademark, you should have a unique characteristics which should differentiate your product or your brand from other brand. Yes, in practical terms, if for instance, let's say you want to register a trademark or okay, we never spoke about the symbol, but we'll talk about it. Most of you know which is the R. So R into an oval shape is what we call the trademark or registered mark. So for instance, we may have other brands just like Close Up and the rest. We may have other brands like the Telco, have other brands like dresses. We may have other brands like sneakers. We may have other brands like shoes. We may have other brands like milk, and all these products have a registered trademark which is confined onto a person to have exclusive rights over that use of mark or trademark. Now, if you applied an application for the registration of a trademark out with the registrar and is subject to the payment of the prescribed fee. So for instance, if one wants to have a registered mark or a trademark, it is subject under a fee, and you can do that at the Registrar General, which we have one in Accra. I don't know about Takoradi people. Takoradi, do you have Registrar General office in Takoradi?
It's only one in Ghana. You do that in Accra.
No,
It's not true.
Branches. We have.
Are you sure?
It's in the regional capitals.
Hey.
Yes, maybe except the new ones.
They have office at the STMA.
STMA. Okay. So we have Sunyani. I know that we have one there, and we have one in Kumasi. What happened?
There's one in Tamale.
Okay. So what I know is that at the end of the day, they work hand in hand. Most of this registration still goes back to Accra for centralization purposes. So your document may be picked up in Sunyani, Temali, Takoradi, or wherever, but for centralization purposes and also for business, it will still be sent to Accra for processing. Then you come later for collection. But this one is that most of these things now are electronic compared to those years where it used to be paperwork. They have to mail the paper document to Accra, then Accra people work on it back. Currently, we have a central system whereby most of this information can be keyed in, and the people in Accra can easily identify and know that, okay, Mr. Akins has actually applied for a registered trademark to identify his or a product, and we need to verify whether it's similar or it is closer to some product, or whether it's a unique identity. Usually, these trademarks are unique. It has certain characteristics, as we read from the definition. Without certain characteristics, it cannot go through the registration, and it comes at the. It's not free, and the application shall be accompanied with a reproduction of the trademark and a list of the goods or services for which the registration of the trademark is requested using the international classification. So, for instance, Pepsodent is a product under a registered trademark. So I think Pepsodent is for Unilever, right? If I'm right. Are we in the house?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, I think it's for Unilever.
So Pepsodent is for Unilever, which is a Unilever product. And we have Lever Brothers. I think they are in charge of Close-Up. They have soaps, they have other products. But you know, when you are registering a trademark, you may have to put all the products that you be selling under the same trademark. You cannot go and say that, oh, I want to sell mouse, then you want the mouse to be named let's say Akins B. Then at the end of the day, you said, oh, you are only producing mouse. Then later you come back and say that, okay, I want to add this, that. It's allowed. You can do that, but usually you have to list the product that you will be dealing even in the future at times, that you want to deal in this, that in the future, or you want to start with a product, but you want room for expansion product. And in that case, if you are not producing the product, it's not that you've had or the law will hold you accountable for not producing. No, that doesn't matter. Immediately it comes to the market, then we can talk about it. But once it's in document and it's not in production, I don't think it's anything illegal. Okay. So the application may contain a declaration claiming the priority of an earlier national or regional application filed by the applicant or the predecessor in the title of the applicant, as provided for the Article 4 of the Paris Convention set out in the Schedule 1. You see, so this tells you straightly that it was picked up from somewhere. So it means that we were using certain kind of mixture to create our own trademark laws in Ghana. In any way, in any or for any state, part of the convention, or in any or for any member of the World Trade Organization. So, trade organization, when we register a trademark, automatically that copy is sent to them, which governs the whole world. So the Pepsodent in Ghana may be different from the Pepsodent in US in terms of maybe the production, certain kind of flavor, but that doesn't change the ownership. A typical scenario is Coca-Cola. We have franchise around the globe. We have Coca-Cola in Ghana, Coca-Cola in the US, and China, Coca-Cola in Germany or Europe, Coca-Cola in the Canada, North America, South, Asia, Europe, and Africa. But the tastes are not the same. The taste of the Coca-Cola are not. That doesn't mean that it's not known as Coca-Cola. It is known and it is under a single registered trademark. Despite the taste variations, it's still the same product, the same identity, the same uniqueness. And this is being governed or a general overseer, which is the World Trade Organization, which oversees this. And the registrar may require the applicant to provide within the prescribed time a copy of the earlier application certified as a correct by the office with which it was filed. So one can register and also prove the registration and other stuff to the registrar general that, in fact, I've gone through all the requirements and I have the license to use this trademark as prescribed by the definitions of the laws of the country. Now, An applicant may have the right to withdraw the application. For instance, one can have the right if you think that you are no longer interested in registering the product, or you are no longer interested in actually producing what you wanted to do, or the brand name, you can still go ahead to withdraw your application. It is not mandatory that once you filed for a trademark, you should actually use that trademark, and no matter what, you should be subject to law. Mary. Mary.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your hand is up.
There's a question. So when you were reading the registration, you said that the registration of a trademark by any person confers an exclusive right to the use of the trademark on the person. And I'm asking, is it specific that the CEO or secretary or the administrator or the accountant, which of these people can do the registration of the trademark?
Which of these people will do what?
Will be allowed to do the registration of the trademark.
A trademark is a bona fide property. So for instance, if Mary, you've opened Mary & Co. organization, you have a secretary, you have a managing director, you are the CEO, you have a managing director, you have a secretary, a personal secretary, let's say other people working under you. I mean, the company belongs to you. So if you want to register your trademark, it must be in your name, or better still, your company's name, because company is an identity. You get it? But a company is an entity, an individual is an entity. You can be sued and you can sue. The same way, if you are failing or you are trying to apply for a trademark, then you should be, that's in the form, in the application form. One, the company name must be stated, and who is the owner. Currently, most of our registration processes for company registration and other stuff. Formerly, there wasn't anything like TIN number, but currently, the who is registering the company must have a TIN number, as well as the company itself, after registration, would get a TIN number. It's the same way if you are registering the trademark and the rest, probably there may be a provision for a TIN number somewhere, whereby you need to use to identify who owns the company, as well as the entity as the company, what is the company, or who is the company. So when it comes to who is the company is you, Mary & Co. So through you that the company came, and it's an entity. So you work in that line. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So the one who brought out the company is the one who has to register.
Yeah, that's you. Akins.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, please, in a trademark, can we have a copyright in a trademark?
The copyright is a different thing when it comes to trademark. We have dealt with copyright already, but usually the copyright is a right that grants one the right to use a product. So, for instance, we dealt with that topic already, whereby those who actually owns a property or owns something can give extension use to somebody. So, for instance, you as Akins, you have let's say you I want to put something that we can quickly. Okay, so let's say you have you see, in Ghana, most of the things that we usually hear or see is is in the movie industry and the music industry. The copyright issues that that are usually found within our settings are in these industries compared to the other industries like manufacturing and the rest. In the manufacturing industries, we don't really hear about copyright issues compared to the music. That's why sometimes I want to use the music industry. Now, a music that you can give me a right as Akins for me to use it if I am called, let's say, Richmond Dibanji. I can use your music because I have seek a copyright protection from you, and you've granted me that as so I can rewrite your music, change it, modify it to suit what I want to do with it. But in a trademark, the trademark is the brand. So for instance, we have Sarkodie has its own symbol that shows that this is Sarkodie brand. When we look at Kofi Kenyatta also have a symbol that shows the KK with a crown on it. When we look at the PEP student, as I said, it also has another logos. So for instance, you can have that copyright as well as the registered trademark. And they are all different things. You cannot get a copyright for PEP student, because if you get a copyright from PEP student, then it will mean that you can do or something that may be close to PEP student, but not the original, and they will not do that. So we have certain things that you can easily have your way to do copyright. We have you cannot do copyright of. But when it comes to product, goods, and services, yes, they can give you a franchise. It's more like a, which we call franchise. So that if KFC, you want to open KFC in front of your house, it's a copyright, but it's more of a franchise, which you can open a KFC in front of your house. Then you can use it to operate. Okay. Up now, say Ajimai.
Hello, sir. I wanted to give a sample about what we are learning. Example.
Okay.
Just like I was once working at a filling station called Shell, as we all know, Shell filling station. It's being sold out. For where I was working, it's being sold out to people called Vivo. But they are using the Shell brand. They are not using the Vivo as the filling station, but they are using the logo of Shell. So when you come to the Shell, is the those who supplies them with fuel Vivo, but they use the logo of Shell, like to show people that show the people that they are Shell, but the company within the company is being sold to Vivo. Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So therefore, we for what Akins asked is similar to what I was saying, because you can some companies can sell their company within to you, but you will use their logo as your personal use, just like compared to the Shell filling station.
Yes.
Selling their filling station to Vivo, but they are using Vivo people are using the logo of Shell.
Yes, that's true. Okay. Is your hand still up, Mary and Osajimai? Are your hands still up?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So please, I didn't really get what he was trying to say.
Okay, he was making a scenario with the Shell filling station. That with the Shell filling station, you have franchise scenario whereby, let's say I am a Dumensa Okay, these are typical scenarios that I can give. My uncle, we have some land, parcel land at, so with two of my uncles. One of them actually opened Shell filling station, but he owns the land. So what he did is that he built, they have requirement for building a filling station. So he did all the requirements, built and did, let's say he had the correct measurement dimension, whatever he thinks it takes, the storage tanks, how to put it on the ground and everything. So when he finished, then he goes to Shell and requested Shell to come and work with him. So now Shell comes and brand the place, as well as put up everything and also supply the oil, which is the fuel or petrol to the filling station and diesel. Now, to some extent, Shell has some rights, which we call it a goodwill. So they work with my uncle for some years, then eventually they part ways, whereby my uncle now becomes 100% ownership of the station. Now, in the case of my other uncle, filling station, so one is on the right, one is on the left. Now, the other one also did the same, but in this case, he has the land. He asked them to do everything from scratch to finish. You do that, you still do the goodwill for 20 years, 25 years. Then they will brand the place like their own filling station and use it. And 20 years time, you own the property yourself, own everything, and the systems and everything. Then you can also go into the production of the oil or the sales of the oil yourself, if you still want to keep with them or not. But that's basically what the options that you can get when you want to sell the product. So basically, that's what he was saying.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So grounds for refusal of registration. No trademark shall be if it is a trade name. So for instance, if you have, they can refuse you for not registering the trademark for you, only on the grounds that it is a trade name. So for instance, you may have a trade name like Pepsodent and the rest, but that trade name must be unique. And if it is not unique, then you cannot be registered. And that trademark, trade name doesn't mean that it should be something that, for instance, you say Accra, Dubai, goose, Accra, Dubai, transaction, Dubai. No, you should have a trade name, Pepsodent, J. Akins, Asumeni, if that should be your trade name. Incapable of distinguishing the goods or services. Yeah, so that you can, it is Jerry, go ahead.
Please. So according to what you are saying, that means that this scenario, Akiola, we know Akiola have been writing math books, and there is this social studies Akiola book that came out. So according to some research that went on, it was due that the lady who wrote that book went to Akiola and asked him to use his logo even though it was not Akiola himself who wrote that social studies book, but she was permitted to use the Akiola trademark. So I wanted to know if that one is a trademark copyright or what. She was given the permit to use Akiola's logo trademark.
Okay,
in publishing her own social studies book.
That is not you see, he might have acquired the trademark of Akiola, or Akiola has granted her for the use of the trademark, which is the symbol, the name, and the logo as Akiola. Now, what happens is that a copyright is different from trademark. So as I'm saying, that's why I keep using the word franchise. And even in franchise, it's a different thing. We have jurisdictions or things that you can operate. So for instance, if somebody is granted an extension to use a trademark, in some way, it's not a copyright, because copyright means if it is Akiola mathematics book or elective math book, and you are given the copyright to do, it means that you can reproduce Akiola math book without any legal implication or serious legal implications. That's, for instance, you can reproduce the books, the textbooks, and sell them. That means you have a right to also print the Akiola textbooks. That's copy them and print them. Now, when you are talking about trademark only means that you will have the right to use the logo and the symbol as if it is the original thing. So in some aspects, it could be partnership, it could be franchise, it could be, so it's the same partnership that is franchise. So you could look at it in that way, that probably the woman consulted Akiola that, okay, because of your brand name or your trademark, you have the market, you have the population, you have the image, you have the brand. Let's say you have wider market space, and I want to capitalize on that to write in your just like you, or to write and produce as Akiola products, so that I can also cover or take advantage of your market. Now, in so doing, there might be some agreement between the two of them who might have, which might have gone on that you and I have any information. But usually there is an agreement that goes on. So probably there could be that, okay, if that's the case, you can use my trademark and everything, but you take 50, I'll take 50% of every proceed that comes out of it, or 70, 30, or 40, 60. That's it basically, and the person could easily do the production of the social study textbook in the name of Akiola. Interesting. While we are having class, people are watching ball.
Hello.
So let's continue, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So I don't mind that.
Yes.
So let us continue. Don't mind them.
Me, I can equally watch the ball, or I have other important things. Aside that, I told you I'm not Ghana, and I kept telling you, but I have to still try as much as possible to, because I'm working with my supervisor on my PhD. I'm trying as much as possible.
Sir, please ignore them.
Okay, go ahead.
Ignore them. You can continue.
Go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes, I'm listening. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, my question is, with the trademarks, I know there is disadvantages with the trademarks. Is there any punishment when you go contrary to the trademarks, rules and regulations? Is there any punishment when you are taken to the court of law?
Yes, you can be sued, you can be charged to pay a fine, you can be charged. Yes, that's it. So if you use a trademark illegally, you can be sued. You may be charged either to imprisonment, to pay a fine, and also be liable for some damages of the brand name or the trademark. Okay, Mary.
Yeah, I was asking that you said that the trademark can be registered by the one who opened the company. Okay. So the situation whereby I don't want to operate the company anymore and someone wants my trademark, is it the duty of me to go to the registrar general to help the person acquire the trademark from my name, or the registrar general, the person?
This property and unique identity. If the person is in same thing, then it becomes a challenge. You can either sell it or give it to the person, whichever way, through agreement terms. But if you stop, let's say, production, then automatically, and you can also withdraw your trademark from the system by telling them that, okay, you've withdrawn your application, you've withdrawn your trademark. So if anybody is using that trademark, it's not your product. You can do that. Just like we have other brands that has been swallowed.
Okay.
We had Toshiba, HP, and the rest. Currently, some companies are operating like them because they bought, I think HP bought Toshiba. Formerly, we used to have Toshiba as a company on its own. Then HP bought Toshiba. Even though you see Toshiba laptops in town, hardly will you find the Toshiba laptops currently is there, but it's not like how it used to be an individual person who used to use the Toshiba. For instance, we have something like Skype and Microsoft Teams. Skype was owned by in the future, which some years back, Microsoft decided to buy Skype from the owner. So currently Skype to Microsoft. They still use the same trademark, which is the Skype symbol and everything, because they bought everything outright. It depends. Sometimes you can buy it as a goodwill, as I'm saying, more like a lease, whereby you have a stipulated years of time that you have to use that trademark. Then eventually it rolls back to the owner. And some also sell it outright that they don't have any right over the product again. So it depends on the agreement and the terms. Yes. Okay. Descom.
Sir, please, I wanted to ask this question. I was asking if these two people can be registered. So if Kofi is in what they call it, Koforidua, there's another Kofi again in Kumasi. His company, he registered his company, Killer Ventures. So and then he sells shoes. And then the other one in Kumasi said, okay, let me name mine also Killer Ventures. And he said he will sell guns. So please, these two people, can they be registered?
Which two people? The Killer what Ventures and what? It keeps breaking. That's why I'm not getting.
And then there's the other Kofi in Koforidua.
Okay.
Koforidua. Name his. Oh, okay. I was saying that there's a Kofi in Koforidua, and then he named his company Kitchens, and then he sells shoes. And then there's another Kofi in Kumasi, and then he also said, no, let me name my company Club Ventures, and then he said he will sell guns, and then they both registered at the registrar. So please, I was asking if both of them can be registered, despite the both of them having the same company names.
No, the company name you mentioned is different.
This
Let's come. The Kofi in Koforidua, what is the name of his company?
Both of them have the same company names. The one in Koforidua have named his Killer Ventures, and then the other in Kumasi also named his Killer Ventures.
The one in Kumasi also did. The one in Kumasi also did.
Hello, sir. Sir, she was trying to say the one in Koforidua name is Club Ventures, and the one in Kumasi also named the same name as Club Ventures.
Hello, sir. Please, can I come in for this for this
Club
question?
Ventures. He named his Club Ventures.
Okay, Jerry.
Sir.
Yeah, you said you wanted.
Okay, sir, please. To what?
Your network.
Yes. Am I? Oh, okay. Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. I want to register my company. And I was given a form to come in and went to register. I was asked to change my company name. So I was like, why? This is what I like. This is what I want to. I want to register my company with. So why are you asking me to change the name? And I was told that the name have been taken already. So it's not possible for me to use that name. So it's not possible that two people can use the same name to register at the general department.
General.
Yeah, register general. So it's not possible for that question. It's not possible. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's it. So there is no way two people can register. Is the only person who can register first is the one who will have the ultimate right to use that name is the one who registered first, not the second person. So we all even applied the same day, and the documents probably one is on top and one is 7 down steps. The one on top would have the name, and the one which is 7 down steps may be refused registration because the name is already registered to somebody. Okay, Akins and Descom.
Akins.
Okay, Akins is gone. Yes.
They say I've come on.
Okay.
With the trademarks. Say, can you associate it with, let's say, with the Lands Commission, obtaining a title of a land, let's say in the Lands Commission, registration of a land. When you buy a land from, let's say, we have a stool land, we have family land, we have personal land, we have other types of land. Let's say you buy a land from a chief and you go to the Lands Commission, then you register it. You have a title of the land as at the Land Commission registered in your name. Can that one be a trademark? Because two people can never go to the Lands Commission to register only one land It's never done. So can that one also be a trademark?
No, but no, that's not a trademark, but these are land title. That's why we call it land title certificate or land title. So if you title a land, means that you have the ultimate right to that piece of land, and that land is in your name. So basically that's it. So we use the land title laws in case or scenario. Profa.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, my question is, what should happen when you realize somebody is using your company name as you being registered at the Registrar General? What should you do?
If what?
If like I have a company and I realize that I've registered my company, but I realize that somebody else is using my company name, what should I do?
Okay, if your registration was able to go through at the Registrar General, and they were able to issue you a certificate, and that somebody is using your company, you can sue that person. You can sue that person if that person actually also have a registered certificate. Then you can sue both of them, that's Registrar General and the person, because they need to tell you how they got the certificate. But usually, hardly would Registrar General do such a mistake, because everything is computerized, not like some years back when it was a manual thing or a paperwork whereby they say that, oh, it was a mistake, an oversight and all that. Currently, they've been able to computerize everything. So your name, when you bring the name, they just key in the name and it tells them the closest name, the possible name, the options that you can use, then among the name. So, okay, there is a scenario. There was a school. Let's say the school, which is a typical scenario or a real life situation. There is a school. The school is called the A. Montessori, and that A. Montessori is located at Taifa. Then along the, let's say after 1 year, 2 years, we saw another school again, and let's say Amasaman, as A. Montessori. Now the question is, who owns A. Montessori? Is it the one at Amasaman or the one at Taifa? Because the CEOs are, and so the first approach is that I remember the Taifa one, the A. Montessori. Are you doing expansion works? She said no. Then I said, are you not doing any expansion work on this stretch from here to Isam? She said no. And I said, okay, fine. But do you know that there is another school called A. Montessori? Then the person said, me, I'm not aware. I'm not aware. And I need to find out. So I also went to Amasaman, asked the person, who owns the A. Montessori? He said, it's mine. I said, how did you register? He said, oh, it's mine. And I said, do you have any sister or cousin or auntie anywhere who also use the same name, A. Montessori? Then she told me that, no, I don't know any person or anyone of such, and I don't know why the person is using my name. So eventually, I went to the Taifa one, and I asked the person, are you sure your school is registered? Do you have a license registered certificate to operate or commence business as A. Montessori? The person said yes. In fact, it was more of embarrassment because how I approached the case, I didn't do it let's say, for instance, in terms of, let me say, informal way whereby probably I'll meet the person, me and the person. No, this one was a formal meeting. And I open it up that we have to find out the registration certificate who owns the school, because we have the same school elsewhere registered under someone's name, and we have this one also registered this person's name. Later in time, the person now at Taifa now tells me that she was trying to hide the truth, but the school belongs to her. The one at Amasaman is a cousin or something, and they gave that person right to use the same name, but they didn't want us to feel that what. And I said, but if you know that, why didn't you even tell us in a formal meeting when we were having meeting with you? You decided to pretend as if you don't know anything. And you told us that you have no idea and you don't know who is using it and whatever, blah, 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 blah. And you felt very embarrassed, said these issues in public. Now, later, you come back to tell me that you know the person or you knew the person, but you pretended not to say it. And that's a typical scenario. So it's based upon how you handle it. There is no way. It's only one person who may have the certificate. Cole, Innocent.
Yeah, sir. With the question my colleague asked earlier, it's possible someone else can have your company name or has a company registered in your name. In this way, assuming you are registered and you don't file your returns, you don't do your renewal yearly for some number of years, Registrar General clear system, they assume maybe you are no more. So your name will now be available. And anybody who goes in to do a company search can have that name available and the person can use it. In 2013, when I registered my first company, the name was CDS Resources. It was available, so I was using it. After 2 years, one guy called me that he has a company named CDS Resources, and he heard I'm also using the same name. So we met. Later, when we go to Registrar General, it was like he registered for some time, but he was not operating, and he doesn't come for renewal. So it was assumed he's no more in the system, and they took the name off the system. So the name was available for me to use. But we spoke, and later I just have to let it go, and he went direct to do the renewal, and they gave it back to him.
Okay, that.
So in other cases,
sometimes some people can even drag it. Some people will tell you that, listen, you actually let the name go. If I will let you have it, you have to pay me for some damages or compensate me. You see, I'm not saying it so that you go and do this thing to someone. So usually there are ways to handle these issues when it comes to those cases whereby one has to leave or release a name or a trademark to another person due to some legal implications. And sometimes you may charge the person some damages, penalties, and other stuff because the person is supposed to be responsible for your new registration, because now you have to leave everything to the person. So the person has to pay your new registration for you. The person may have to pay some penalties or form of compensation for you to, because for instance, if your brand is now A and people have recognized you with the name brand A, and you are leaving it because an existing user or a former user has used the name and have stopped. Now, it has other legal implications when you do that. It's even in terms of your own brand. So sometimes, in order, if you really want to leave it, then you have to get some compensations, and sometimes you settle the case in that manner. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Contrary to the public order and morality. So for instance, if you are registering a trademark, we have to make sure that whatever you are going to trade in meets the standards of morality. For instance, we don't sell drug in Ghana, and we don't sell drugs in any country, apart from countries that have drug-free laws. Now, if you want to register a company, you cannot go and register a company and say that I'm going to sell drugs. It's out of morality, and nobody would register that company for you. It is likely to mislead. So for instance, the refusal processes is what I'm telling you. When we find out that it is likely to mislead the public or trade circles with particular reference to a geographical region of goods or services, their nature and characteristics. So we have Pepsodent as a brand. Then you also come in with Pepsodent B. I don't think they'll register you, or they will accept your registration, because it can mislead other people. So for instance, if you just omit the B, then it becomes Pepsodent. If you add the B, you will say that, oh, it's different. Even the box, and if you just add something, then, so we look at all these things that at the end of the day, that identity shouldn't be there. It should look differently from one another. It is identical to, or is an imitation of, or contains an element or an amoral bearing, flag, emblem, name, abbreviation, or initials of the name. So for instance, you may not be registered or be given a name or a trademark if you have some form of identity. That's what I said, Pepsodent B. Then at the end of the day, when you remove the B, it becomes Pepsodent. Allowed. An imitation. So for instance, you want to mimic Pepsodent, or you want to, something like Ideal Milk, it will not be allowed. An element. So for instance, you may have certain kind of characteristics and some symbols on it. This may not be allowed. And the emblem. So let me show you something. Okay. I don't know which. Okay. Can you see me now? Okay, so this is a typical scenario. We have this product.
Yes, sir.
They have we have emblem, or what we call the embroidery. So this you can feel it when you touch it, that there is an emblem or something like embossment inside. For instance, if you have you see the design, so in any way that you may have something that would make this product look, for instance, clothing that you may produce to look just like this may be refused. If you produce, so this is a unique identity of Pepsodent, and you cannot, for instance, even if you remove this tooth, if you remove this tooth and you leave Pepsodent 1, 2, 3, this, it may look different from this original Pepsodent, but it will be an imitation and may not be original, because the only difference is the tooth that you've taken off. And this will lead to refusal of your registration. we have other products that you can look at based upon what you are looking at. So we have several things that can look like imitation and the rest based upon what you are looking at. Then we have, so I think I've exhausted most of the terms of refusal to the registration. So one, if we are trying to register a trademark, certain kind of component that we may look at in terms of your name, which is one, the name of the brand, the name, whether it's unique, it has a different characteristics or a unique characteristics, as well as its symbols, logo, representations, and other stuff. Then we also look at some areas. So that's the first key things that they will look before they would even accept the process for you to meet the requirements for registration. And if the registrar finds that the condition in subsection 1 have been complied with, the registrar shall accept the application to be published so that any interested person may file a notice of opposition to the registration within the prescribed period and in the prescribed manner. So for instance, if we realize that you have met all the requirements, that's your symbol name, your identity, the logos, the brand, and it doesn't meet any imitation, doesn't meet any identical, or there are no similarities, there are no other things that will make it replicate other person's product, then they may publish your trademark to the public for them to also have within certain kind of stipulated time. That's, for instance, for processing. So they may give a 2 weeks notice in the media, maybe Daily Graphic or somewhere, for anyone who has any doubt or any things that the trademark that you are going to have is already in the system, to come out and protest before the registration can go through. Yes. Tay James.
Yeah, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, you were saying that terms are considered before a company is registered or a product is registered. So how did we get all these fake products? Some you see Nike, instead of Nike, you see Nike, and then all this stuff. How did we get them onto our market? How did they get them onto the shelves? If we have to exercise all these due diligence before products and then companies are registered, how did they get themselves here? Thank you.
Okay. Krufa, can you also ask your question so that I can answer them?
My question is related to his question, but I wanted to ask about the registration. For instance, due to the toothpaste or something that we eat, who approves first? Is it the Registrar General or the Food and Drugs Board?
Okay, this is how the system works. If you are producing products for skin, for food or whatever, drugs, it needs to meet certain kind of requirements, that as well as must be healthy for the skin, for the body, for what we take inside. So we have institutions, in every institutions. One, you must register your company. It's a different entity that which is registrar. So in Ghana case, we have Registrar General who register your company for you. Now, if you want to produce food item, so for instance, you want to export shito or produce shito in mass quantity for sales in all the 10 regions or the 16 regions, then you would have your shito to Food and Drugs Board for them to check the ingredients. Typical scenarios are usually the herbal industry. So you have to send it to Food and Drugs Board. They'll have to test the ingredients, the product that you use to produce the medicine. What are the products? Is it harmful to human? Do we have any side effects after the usage of the product? Will we get some kind of reactions if we use the product? What are some of the things that are healthy for intake of humans if those ingredients or those whatever is added to the product? Now, we also look at it in terms of basically, that's what Food and Drugs Board does, because it's a system that is working. So if you are producing food, if you are producing services, you don't need Food and Drugs Board. But if you food, then you have to go through that channel. Now, when that channel approve it, then you cannot produce to the market. So you can register your trademark, but until Food and Drugs Board approve your product, you cannot sell the product. That's a different scenario altogether. So Food and Drugs Board must approve your product. If it is food, shito that you want to produce, then they must test it, they must eat it, they must examine it, they must know the ingredients. And these things go through laboratory tests to see even the side effect and so on and so forth, and make sure that it is not harmful to the citizens or society. And then you can now produce and bring your product to the market. Now, in the case of the first question, he was asking, you could see Nike and you could see Nike and those things. We are in a free trade zone, whereby it's not that we don't pay duty, we pay duty. But in the world, we are in a free trade zone. So for instance, we have original Nike, we may have the imitation because we are in a free trade zone. I may bring a foot or a sneaker, and that sneaker may not even have design. So for instance, it may not have any design in it. I will decide to go and do the embroidery myself. So I may decide to do something that can sell for me. So we have Nike, sell it. If you try to do Nike, you can be arrested, because they also have people, spies and other stuff who are in town. Adidas, you can do. I remember when I was young and I was schooling, instead of buying Adidas, I bought Adibas. So, and I actually bought it in Circle, in front of where we now call the Vodafone. As at that time, it used to be called PNT. So in the evening,
that's what that place.
You said?
So that place there, you are not careful, you take something
Yeah.
back.
So in the evenings, they put sneakers all around that stretch in front of the Vodafone stretch. So that evening, I went there, nice sneakers. So I actually purchased one. And in fact, that night when I bought the sneaker or the shoe, I thought it is Adidas because it has the 3 stripes in there. But the name, thinking that it was an Adidas, the following day, I didn't even notice it. It was some time, like let's say 3 weeks, 4 weeks when I was in school. And we were arguing. Then one of my mates told me, you think you are wearing Adidas. Meanwhile, it's Adidas that you are wearing. But I felt some ill feelings about the whole scenario. But as at that time, and I stopped wearing it because I wasn't the genuine one. So we have free trade zones, and because of that, people can bring in whatever they want to bring, sell them based upon how brand you can do. Let me explain. We have Soundburst. It's a form of earpod or earbud headset. So it's Drebit, Dr.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Yeah, Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
So what happened is that this scenario, a gentleman was selling on Facebook and Instagram, and he was selling an imitated product of Drebit. So he placed his adverts and made a paid advertisement for the product. So the first time, I think he had some few calls. Then after 2 weeks, all the product was off from his advertisement page. So he realized that he has paid the money, but the advert that he paid for has been blocked. And Facebook wrote to him that the company, Dr. Drebit, suspects your product to be a fake one or an imitated product. And because of that, we cannot allow you to sell these products online. Do you get a scenario? So this gentleman was selling the imitated one, which was almost like 50 or 40 Ghana cedi. But the original Drebit is very expensive, very, very expensive. The last time I remember, years back, was at that time, at the point, it was even going for 500 cedis for Drebit product. So for somebody to sell it at 40 Ghana cedi and 30 Ghana cedi and 50 Ghana cedi, no, you should know that it's not the original. So eventually, they also stopped the ad from running on Facebook and Instagram. Does that answer your question? The one who was asking about the imitation. Okay. So right to convert by registration. A person other than the registered owner of a trademark shall not use the mark in relation to any goods or services for which the trademark was registered without the agreement of the owner. This was the argument or the questions you were asking initially. Now, if you are the owner as Mary B, you have registered your company. Now, the laws gives you the ultimate right. That's you being the person who registered as the owner of the trademark. Have exclusive right to use it. Apart from you, no other person shall use for his goods or services without your agreement, outright agreement of the owner. So if you've registered your company, basically nobody can, your trademark, nobody can use it apart from an agreed scenario or permission for the person to use the trademark. Just like the case of the Aquila series, whereby a woman has to use the Aquila, produce Aquila social studies. It means that the person actually had an agreement with the owner to use Aquila as a trademark name to sell her product. The registered owner may institute court action against any person who infringes a registered trademark by using a registered trademark without permission. So the owner, so if Aquila, for instance, realized that this woman was producing social studies in the name of Aquila, then Aquila has the ultimate right to sue the person. That's to take the person to court, to take a court action, against, wow. I'm coming, I'm having low battery. Macamina extension.
So you guys should have ask questions, so because you things are moving.
All right, today the network is not favoring me. Cry. I nearly cry. Yeah, Mary.
No.
I call you, you no answer.
You sure? Hey. And the phone is my small girl too.
Master, enya hana mo be discuss some course.
Enya course as a woman, every way I antina wa frame me why. Me ni so
because he wasn't online.
On and off like that, me ya call me say me ya call fabre me. On and off like that.
It's normal. How is normal?
Please, so whose number should I send my Telegram? Who will Telegram for me to receive those recording? Because this one day I've totally lost.
Say it's recorded. So when it finishes, if you post it on the Moodle, then you
About when I must or send a link in that or add it to the group, no Telegram link, you know.
How are the Telegram in my room? You can come here.
Okay. I think after class, some say it.
So yeah, after class I'll send it.
Okay, that would be nice because our friends in OT region, he cannot get access to the class.
Okay, can you hold on with your meetings? Let's finish this quickly so that I can end the class. I have a lot of things to.
Okay.
So the right of the
officer.
So basically, the laws gives the person the right to sue anyone who actually used the trademark. In terms of protection of trademark, the registration of a trademark is for a period of 10 years from the filing date of the application for registration. So if a person registers a trademark, then the trademark is valid for 10 solid years, upon which it becomes invalid. So if you register your trademark, I think there are ways for validation. So after 10 years, you need to go and renew that trademark in order to a grace period of 6 months is allowed for the late payment of renewal fee upon payment of the prescribed surcharges. So if one registers a trademark, that trademark is legally bound for 10 good years, upon which you may pay renewable charges for the removal of a trademark from register for non-use. A person interested in a trademark may request the registrar to remove a trademark register because upon up to 1 month prior to file removal, the trademark had not been used by the registered owner or a license for any of the goods or services in respect of which it was registered for a continuous period of 5 years or longer. The trademark shall not be removed from the register if it is shown that special circumstances prevented the use of the trademark and that there was no intention to abandon the trademark in respect of those goods or services. So for instance, of a user for non-use, just like the scenario I think Ekins or one of the gentlemen gave, that he actually registered his company only to get to know that the name was being used by somebody who have abandoned the name for some period of time, and now the name became available, and he also used the same name, and now the person came back chasing him that no, I was using it, but because of some reasons I need to use the same company name again. And he said that he released the name for the said user. But that's it. So for instance, if you register a trademark and you are not using it, it can be removed from the register. And when it is removed, it means that it will be available for another person for use. In the case of, for instance, tangible reason or a reason that is reasonable enough may be permitted in your case for you to use the same trademark even though you've not used it for some time. And so it's based upon your reason, and that must be communicated. You cannot just say that, oh, I don't have money, or I want to produce A, B, C, D, and because of that, there is no money, I cannot that services or goods to the public, and I have to wait till I get money. So 5 years, you should have it that 5 years, that trademark for non-use will be removed. But in the case of that period, you can also write formally and also explain reasons or what is actually preventing you from using the trademark within this stipulated time of framework, time frame, which is 5 years, and they will find a way to help you and maintain the same brand or trademark in the market. Change of ownership. A change of ownership of a trademark or of any application for registration of a trademark shall be in writing and shall be filed with the registrar. A change in the ownership of a collective mark or of an application for the registration of a collective mark shall be in writing and shall be filed with the registrar. So in this case, it means that if you are an owner, just like the question Mary was asking, if you're an owner of Mary B and you produce cosmetics and you think that you want to stop production, or because of bankruptcy, you can no longer continue. Okay, a typical scenario is MTN. MTN has changed faces. MTN at a point in time was Space Phone. Then Space Phone, it came to Ariba. Then from Ariba to, I think they have Ghana Space or something. Then it changed to what we have now as MTN. We have Mobitel. Mobitel, over a period of time, with their trademark, their logo, everything, there was a change of ownership and who owns the company. Now it became to Tigo. Then Tigo, within some time, has now changed to become Airtel Tigo. We have Airtel also came into the production and also changed name. And we have StarTime. I think, no, something. We had...
It wasn't Zen.
Yeah, we have Zen. Then it was changed ownership to Airtel. Then we have Mobitel. Mobitel changed name. There was a name before Tigo. So they changed their name to another company name. Then from that...
Ariba to MTN. Ariba, MTN.
No. Ariba, that connection, I made it. But I'm talking about...
Baz.
That was
Baz. Baz also came and left. Then we have Kasapa, which is collapsed. So for instance, if we had another person, no, I think Kasapa even became one of the that company just Kasapa is what it was transformed to another company recently.
Espresso.
Yes, Espresso. So for instance, these are all change of ownership and trademarks and brand names. So all these things can be done at the registrar general or the registrar, with the registrar. License contract, I may not talk about it. I may not talk about certain things. You have to read them on your own. I to quickly end this class. So you need to understand all this. Most of them I've skipped them because I don't want to spend so much time. So I think we may come to an end with today's class here. And whatever it is, we would continue next week. So we call it a day. And thank you for your patience and your time. Yes.
Sir, please, the discussion of the question, please. I beg you, if you can come back, how we are going to answer it. You were teaching us something like that, but some of us we couldn't log in earlier, so we couldn't follow the procedure. So please.
Okay, just as I said, you can come to the page. I'm going to, so this is our forum. This is a forum. This one is also a forum. Now, all of them have questions. Today's class, I would add something to it again. So you come in here, you click on it, it opens. You quickly click here. When you click, you would see the question. This is it. You read it, then you click on reply. Immediately you reply. When you click on reply, it will open this box for you. And within this box, you can now answer your question. Then when you finish, you post to the forum. Then that ends it. Any question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Sir, please, my network went off. I just joined. What were you explaining, please?
Oh, no, what we'll do is that I'll post the video. So anything you would see it. I was explaining how to answer the forum question. That's what I did. You come here, you click on it, you'll see the question there. You click on the question, then you see reply. Use the reply button. It will open a box for you, a dialog box for you. Then you key in your answers. Then when you finish, you submit. And that's it.
So please, are we answering?
No, I'm not talking about what you thought.
You're answering every question there. You must answer all questions.
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir, some of
Yes.
us, our courses are
Okay,
not
sir.
being registered.
Yeah, so send me a private message and let me.
Sir, please, I'm talking about what you are showing us just now, not what you've taught us. What you just explained, my nervous then went off again. I've just joined again.
Yeah, I just explained what I said. So kindly consult your mates. They will help you figure it out. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All the best. And can you watch?
Yes, sir.
I want to see you because some of you I don't remember.
Yes, sir. Please, a question.
Sir, please, you said we are going to do exams right now or what? That's what I'm asking.
I said all of you should turn on your videos.
Hey, some of us are not in good position.
Have done that in the daytime.
You said?
Some of us, our places are horrible.
Because we are in the night, like it's night. Maybe you might not see our faces well.
Okay, you go ahead.
Hey, we're back.
Sir, please, some of us, our student portal is not up to date because when I checked, I don't see the new courses we are offering this term. So
let's resolve it.
You haven't registered your courses. That's it.
Pardon? Hello.
I said you haven't registered your courses.
Titus. Oh, yeah, there.
Saturday.
Takings.
Oh,
that's more.
Hey, we have some
That's
people
more.
at post. Duty post. Okay.
Yes, the immigration officers and the custom officers.
Sir, please, I'm having a problem with my camera and my drivers.
Richard.
That's why mine is.
Okay.
This is fun.
Okay, so we
What?
keep the day.
Rich.
What back and obeying.
How
We
are
call it
you?
a day.
How are
We
you?
would-
Yes, sir.
Why? Where is our?
So she's breastfeeding.
Today we are seeing some
I did not tell you that I'm a breastfeeding mother.
Where is
Maternity leave. Maternity leave.
Our? You are breastfeeding your children.
No, I'll come to your place tonight. You will see me.
Who?
Hey.
Mary, show your face.
They are
Show
spectacles.
I learned that
your face.
you can treat people.
Sir, she is on leave.
Are you okay?
Oh,
Sir, how is on leave?
Very careful. What is
Maternity
that?
leave.
It's your business.
Maternity leave. How are you?
Maternity
Maternity leave. And
No, sir. That's me. You see, I'm the Estella. You can see Godway. That's me. They named the Estella Frema.
Don't swallow me up.
I'm using dialect.
The baby is crying for breast
I'm
milk.
the Estella Frema Boache.
Who is Estella? Who is Estella?
Stella is me.
Sir, please.
Estella is using my name. Estella, you too. Why?
Estella is
Godway's name. I'm using.
Just show your
He's using
face.
Godway's name.
True. Estella.
Yeah, see change of ownership. Change of ownership.
why Estella, you are also breastfeeding.
Yes, Mary.
Sir, I'm breastfeeding.
Estella, you are also breastfeeding.
Why? Why are you all breastfeeding?
Hey,
I'm
maybe I can make sure I don't know money. I'm wali. Oh,
Breastfeeding. Why?
It's only me.
Estella is single. Estella is single.
And you watch it.
Watch your
They are-
wife.
Only me.
You're breastfeeding.
They are
Only
trying
me.
to-
Say I'm going to target.
Rich.
Hey.
They are all trying.
Rich.
They are all trying to avoid all
No,
the
I'm not breastfeeding, sir.
noises so that the boys will not come and be worrying them.
So, sir,
the voice
it
is
is-
calling our
it
link
is-
to.
it is an evidence that they like the thing.
Hands up, all fingers. No
Okay, so-
singles here.
Breastfeeding. It is-
No single here.
All singles, hands up.
Bachelor.
Jifa,
No single here. Sir, please,
Jifa.
I'm calling off. My baby is crying.
Oh, man.
Right, network in San Tico. There will be the discourse.
why are you so quiet?
Estella.
Jifa,
What
which
is
campus
that?
are you? Which campus?
Friday.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Jifa, that's you. Okay.
Jiva, to bribe, no. And then what could you do?
Hey, kiss.
Mary.
Mary, who can say move?
My man can't answer more. My man can't answer more.
Come in, my son. Kai, want to move to
That Jifa is not single.
Oh, the guy is single. The guy is
Yeah,
single.
do I? Yes,
Wonder on your data. Let me see your big eyes. On
your small voice like a woman.
I'm crashing on Estella.
oh,
Sir, please log out there.
hey. Titus, you the chop, you need the bell. Hey.
Oh, come on, you're invited. Come on.
Continue.
Okay,
Hey,
so
what
we
about
call it a
the-
night. All the best.
You see
All right,
what
have a
better?
good night, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.